Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a shoe rack for my brother's crowded entryway. I wanted to give him some different sized cubbies for boots or backpacks or really whatever he wanted to put in it. And I wanted to do it all on my CNC machine, so I realized pretty easily I could make it so all the parts just notch together and you don't need any glue or hardware. This allows it to be modular, and so I made a bunch of different parts to switch out with it, which I'll show at the end of the video. He also has a little kid, so I wanted to make sure there were no sharp edges or corners to slam skulls against. This is actually my second real project using my new used CNC machine, and this time around things seemed to go a lot smoother than before. There weren't really any big hiccups, and everything just took less time. In college, I did a ton of 3D printing, and I like to think I mastered that skill. But with the CNC, it's kind of like comparing walking in a park versus climbing a mountain. There's just a lot more variables for things to mess up, and not everything's as plug and play. You have to kind of do everything yourself. This time around, I also decided to spend a couple extra bucks on the nicer plywood you can't just get at Home Depot. And I'm really glad I did that. It not only looks better, but it's just easier to work and more consistent. So I'm definitely going to keep using this going into the future. I've also learned a couple new tricks to load up the machine and get it all zeroed quicker, so that's nice. But I think pretty soon here I'm going to have to build some jigs and fixtures so I don't have to screw in each one of these clamps, because doing it repeatedly takes a lot of time. You can probably tell, but I find machining in general extremely satisfying, and I like to always make excuses to CNC and machine different parts on projects just so I can really stare at it for hours. And that's a little embarrassing to admit, but at the same time, I have basically a big hypnotizing machine in my shed, so I'm going to use it. When I was programming the CAD for this file, I think I definitely added too many tabs to hold each part in place. You'll see what I mean in a second, but I think I could definitely remove a bunch and cut down a bunch of working time. I also was having a lot of problem with tear out at the start, so I started putting blue tape on top of where I was cutting, and that helped a lot. I think I probably just need to invest in some better router bits for seeing plywood specifically. But it was frustrating that I had to go in there and tape off every part, but that's how it goes. So because my CNC is only really average sized, I'm having to flip the longer pieces around and CNC them twice. And to do that, I'm just putting boards on the CNC to line everything up. But I realized next time I could just put pegs where each slot is, and that would save me a lot of time and effort, and also just make everything fit together more precisely. There weren't really any big problems this time, but things did start to get off just enough where I started to worry. But putting it together, everything was totally fine. So, like I said earlier, 72 tabs is way too many tabs. I think I could have comfortably gotten by with half that amount, but that little finger wiggler tool does a really good job to knock them down. I don't know what that's called, but it works really well. Now I just have a flush cutter bit on the router, and I'm taking off the other half of those tabs I couldn't get. And 72 times takes a while, and then sanding them takes a while, so lots of time could have been cut down here. Now, if you know me, you know that I think an 1/8 inch roundover bit is the king of roundover bits. It just makes everything look really clean and tight, especially with contemporary furniture, in my opinion. And especially with plywood pieces like this, much more than 1/8 of an inch, and things will start to look kind of funky with the different layers of wood, but an 1/8 of an inch is perfect to just soften everything up. I made sure to be extra careful with sanding because I realized right when I started if I took off too much material right where the legs and shelves interacted with each other, um, then they wouldn't have enough tolerance to fit together tightly. So I kind of just tried to avoid those areas as much as I could, and just took it a little bit slower to make sure everything was going to fit together good. For finish, I'm using this stuff called Odie's oil, which is great, but the plywood really sucks it up. So in the future, I think I need to look more into some sort of spray finish or lacquer, maybe water-based polyurethane. If you have any suggestions, please let me know for finishing plywood. It just really sucked up too much of the oil, and buffing it off also was more work than I would have liked it to be. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. I'm really pleased with how this project came out, and the files for it and a bunch of different versions of it are available on my Etsy shop if you want to make one yourself. I also would love to commission some of these if anyone's interested, so please let me know. But for now, that's it, and I'll see you guys next time.